The time has finally arrived. It is race week, everybody. Cars on the track this weekend. We get to break down an actual race. It's the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray, and we've got all of our favorite betting picks and the breakdown for you right on the back road. So join us, won't you?
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checker flag. That's all this race is.
Two fucking states.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello and welcome. It's In Between Media's The Backroad. And guys, what's that I hear? Is that firing engines in the background? Not the annoying cars going by on my street that always interrupt us. It's race season. The Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium is here, and we are excited to break it all down for you tonight. My name is Elliot Hicks. We've got Rod Villagomez here with us tonight. How you doing tonight, Rod?
I cannot wait to watch all of this happen. I mean, it feels like it's been forever. It's only been a couple of months, but it still feels like forever. And yeah, we get to talk about odds. We get to talk about actual cars on the track. Cheers, boys. It's the 2025 season.
No doubt about it. Happy to be here with you as well, Seth Woolcock.
Yeah, hey, boys, what an absolute delight to be back handicapping a race. We have some absolute gainers of bets for everyone tonight. And while this is a new track to us, we've got 3 years worth of quarter-mile data to go off in the next-gen era. The Clash has been good to us the past 2 seasons, so excited to get back at it tonight. And I just wanted to say, all NASCAR racing is good racing. And if you're here to hate on the Clash, or you want to say you're not watching it, then just save your comments for yourself while we enjoy the show and profit off it, boys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. After a long off season, I would even take, a shitty Texas race to go and watch, let alone a good one like we should have. Tonight, we'll break down the latest NASCAR news. We'll break down the Clash format as well as Bowman Gray Stadium and give you our best bets. But before that, we've got a nice little IBT Racing family announcement, and it's just that. We are launching the IBT Racing family over on Discord. It will give you exclusive weekly betting model access. You get to be in the Discord with us, as well as Ryan from iFantasyRace.com, the expert that helps us a lot with our data and models and stuff like that. And that'll also be how you enter into our memorabilia giveaways as well in the future. So come chat with us. We're asking for just a small donation, either $3.99 a month or just $36 for the year. So what's that? 3.5 units, guys, for the way that most people break it down. If we give you a bet that ends up hitting, if you're kind of on the fence, maybe use that and toss it to us here and help us out a little bit. We're really excited for you guys to hop onto this. It's really exciting, Seth.
Yeah, man, this is something we've kind of been working on all off season long. So shout out to iFantasy Race for powering this this new model set that we've got putting together. We're backing it tonight. We're playing off this model. We also got some memorabilia giveaways, including our Daytona 500 giveaway. We got this Ross Chastain mini helmet autograph from the Melon Man himself. So excited to give that away. You guys got to join our Discord. And now you can actually join. We're doing a 2-week free trial that you can actually get invested with. We have it linked in the episode description. Click it, join it, and then we'll set everything up from there. But we're going to give you 2 weeks free. You can get our Clash model for free. You can come chat with us for the next 2 weeks for free before you make a decision like, hey, is this worth it? I promise you it is. We're putting our life, our soul, all our energy into this. So super excited to be launching this exclusive NASCAR betting community. And I know we also have some events planned for later this season as well. So it's just like, it's less than $1 per race. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I spend way more money on way stupider shit, whether that's betting or whether that's just, throwing money out there left and right on diecast, different things all the time. So really excited about this, really excited to chat with everyone. Elliot, now I don't have to give my phone number and my email address out to strangers because it has burned me before. Not from any of the great people of the IBT family, but the internet's a wild place, my friend.
Yeah, don't put your phone number in the YouTube comments, Seth. But yeah, this really is the best way to access our betting model too. I know that Ryan and Seth especially have put a lot of work into this. And granted, there will be little previews that we have each week on the site. I'll be breaking down with what was between bets last year. Will now be a little less formulaic in that sense, but it will still be, picking guys going off of a little snippet of that model but to be able to access the full model and all the good things behind it and be able to chat about it, get opinions from us more than just on Thursday night or whenever you listen back to the podcast. We're there for you, and we're excited for you guys to hop in, and certainly would appreciate anybody who's willing to be some of the inaugural members of the IBT Racing family.
Yeah, I'm pumped about this because not only will we be able to chat someone in the IBT family, maybe they get in on a bet early. Hey, odds are up. This is an absolute gainer. Let's get down. And then, like, how many times do we get to the Sunday morning and we see something new? We see something new from practice and qualifying that we want to apply to our betting card, and we want to tell our community about it. Like, this is going to be the fastest way to do that. Elliot, I know you're always plugged in during race time as well, so I'm sure you'll be messaging up a storm, bitching about something. I'll probably be watching it on rewind, so I don't know if I'll always be live in the Discord for races, but I know you're good with watching stuff live, so you won't have a problem with that. And when we get to Pocono, when we get to some of these on-track events too, we can give you guys up-to-date information from the track, be your eyes and ears over there.
Yeah, there you go. If you want some good betting advice and some unsolicited Alex Bowman rants, just the place to go. This season in 2025, it's the IBT Racing family.
Yep.
Also, something though about Discord altogether, though, you guys, if you have not been part of a strong Discord community, it is a family, and the IBT family is exactly the right name for it because you get to know everybody in there, and you guys swap information. We all get to bounce off of each other, and really, it just becomes more of a community rather than just us talking to you every Thursday. I mean, we really do get to know all of you that sign up, and it's just an invaluable thing for swapping, like Seth said, all of these odds that you may end up finding. If you got early odds, if we move lines, it's all there for you. So this is definitely a great already start to it, but boy, get in and have some fun with us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The three of us, we're already active. We're already set in there. We got the bones of it set up, as well as Ryan from My Fantasy Race. So the foundation is there, and we're really excited for all you guys to join as well.
Link in the description, baby. Link in the description. Check it out. 2 weeks free. No risk if you don't like it. If you're like, man, these guys kind of suck, actually, don't worry about it. But I think we got some bets for you later tonight, and we got a lot of stuff in between, Elliot.
Yeah, Seth, like you said, the Clash has been good to us the last couple of years, and we're hoping it certainly is tonight. Before we start to break down the events at Bowman Gray, let's take a look back at some of the notable news from the week in the rear view. Man, I'm excited for the next one of those because we'll be breaking down a race in it too, not just talking about the news. But so the big player in the news this week has been Corey Lajoie, a former Spire driver now with Rick Ware Racing. Put out a pretty viral clip in an interview with Bob Pockris earlier this week.
It's like there's some guys who are like, I'd rather win on a truck race than run 20 to 25th every week on Sundays. But to me, you seem more like, I want to race on Sundays. Do you know why you have maybe a different outlook than others, or?
Yeah, because those guys that say they want to try to win, they win 1 or 2 truck races a year, and then they're lifelong truck guys, and they never get to race on Sunday. It's all about Sunday. I don't want to go run F3. I want to be a Formula One driver. Like that. That's just. I don't know why this media perception. Sure. Do you want to go pump the ego up and hold a trophy on a Friday when there's 12 people in the grandstands? No. I want to compete against the best because I feel like with every group that I've been, groups that I've built from the ground up, any given Sunday we can go contend for a win, whether it's a speedway, we can run top 10 any given week. So I can't also justify to my partners that have been invested in me to go down to the lower divisions because they don't get return for their money. They want to bring their people to the big show, not to a Friday or Saturday show.
So those are comments from Corey Lajoie to Bob Pockris after it was announced that Lajoie will drive part-time in the Cup Series this year in the Rick Ware Racing number 01 unchartered entry. They picked 01 because of the stacking pennies. It's worth 0.01. He'll also be an analyst with the Amazon Prime broadcast in the summer. News also came out in his Stacking Pennies podcast that he turned down the chance to drive the number 19 truck raced by Christian Eckes last year, going to be raced by Daniel Hemrick this year. And as he said he would rather race on Sundays instead of boosting his ego with a trophy in front of 12 fans in the stands. But as somebody without a win in the top 3 series, I kind of see it both ways, but wins do get you further in the sport than just running on Sundays.
This is maybe the dumbest thing I've ever heard. If Corey Lajoie's goal was to become the heel of NASCAR, good on you, buddy. You accomplished that. To pass on the 19 truck, a truck that could win a championship this season, a truck that was one of the most dominant across the series last year, to run part-time in a Rick Ware car and then to shit on the entire series, its fans, its teams, like that's just to sign away your racing career, in my opinion. Like Corey LaJoie will never get one of these top rides in the Xfinity Series or the Truck Series, in my opinions. And he's telling all the sponsors who week in and week out promote and help power that series that, hey, you're wasting your money down there. So look, we used to love LaJoie on this program, always with throwing darts on him at Atlanta, Daytona, but I don't like what he's become, and I'm done giving a shit what happens to him. Hopefully this is the last time we ever have to talk about him on the back road, because I will never be betting on him again. Rod, I know you over at the NASCAR betting or NASCAR gambling podcast, you guys have a lot of love for Corey LaJoie. Has that shifted a little bit in your mind?
Let's get it straight. Cody's got all the love for Corey LaJoie. His picture is always right there by him, so he can pull him up. Look, what Corey and I get it, right? The passion, the desire to want to compete at the highest level, I get that. But in baseball, sometimes guys get sent down to AAA because they just aren't. Yep. They don't have everything it takes to compete on a daily basis in the big leagues. So you have to go down there. You have to prove yourself again to come back up into the series. This whole thing is just, look, just go down there, kick everyone's ass in these two leagues and show everybody that, hey, listen, man, you guys messed up. I need to have a premium ride, instead of saying to you, no. I mean, again, maybe it's just because I've never risen to the like super highest elite level of anything I've ever been in other than this. Right. But I'm just saying, like, there's that need to go back down. Right. And if your ego gets in the way of you going back down and proving to the rest of NASCAR why they messed up, then I'm not on your side, because to me, all you're doing, you say you're not stroking your ego by going down there and winning trophies. Well, you're trying to stroke your ego by racing on Sundays in a car that's not going to get you a top 15 finish each week. And it's not going to prove to anybody that you deserve a better ride.
Yeah. I mean, he's not even able to race a full schedule anymore. He lost that opportunity. And the thing about LaJoie too, a lot of the drivers who they rise their way through the ranks. They race a couple years in trucks or a couple years in Xfinity or both, and then they get to the Cup Series. With Corey LaJoie over his career, I'm pulling up his statistics here. In the Cup Series, he's been close to full-time every year since 2017, 272 career Cup starts. In the Xfinity Series, he's run 22 races over 4 years. And in the Truck Series, just 5 starts over 3 years, and 2 of them coming in the last 2 seasons. LaJoie was never a guy that was able to really develop racecraft in the lower series. He was never a guy that really learned how to win on a national level in NASCAR. So I understand he wants to race with the big boys, but it's become very clear that, I mean, like I said, you're not even in a full-time ride. You're part-time with a team that might be back down to the bottom as the biggest laughing stock in the Cup Series. You know, no insult to how they've done at times over the last couple of years, but they sold off another one of their charters and leased it to Roush to run Ryan Preece in the 60, and then it's just Cody Ware in their only full-time car. So for a guy like LaJoie, I do kind of understand what he's saying. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. The F1 analogy, you do want to race at the top of the tops.
I'll add this. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I'll add that a career 25.6 average finish. That's not throwing up any big major, sign me vibes.
Right. The other point I was going to make was that we've seen a few drivers, they made it to Cup and then stepped down and then have made it back up. John Hunter Nemechek notably left Front Row Motorsports, went back down to trucks with KBM. He's back to Cup, but legacy is a long way away from competing in that 42 ride. Anthony Alfredo was full-time in that ride the next year, whether by choice or by circumstance, stepped down to Xfinity and has only been in lower quality rides every year.
Right.
It's definitely a big risk. We don't know if Daniel Hemrick is going to make it back to the Cup Series on a competitive level or not, stepping all the way back down to trucks. It's definitely a big risk to do that. And I don't know, like LaJoie would not have gotten a better truck ride than that 19, but that 19 is a pretty damn good truck ride, and maybe developing some of that racecraft could have helped him. Mm-hmm. But hey, stay in Cup as long as you can, get those part-time runs. Maybe he falls ass backwards into good finishes at the plate tracks if he gets lucky. But yeah, TK making good point. How long does he even have left? I don't think he's capable of rising back up if he goes down. I don't think so either. He would have to. Yeah. I mean, it may have taken 5 wins in a round of 8, if not a championship 4 run, to get a decent Xfinity ride out of the trucks, just seeing what he's been able to do before. I know that Spire has really risen. He was kind of racing there in the doldrums of the Spire days when Go Fast 32, and that was garbage in the 83, I think, a long time ago. It just been pretty garbage rides too.
Right.
I just don't know that he's got the talent, which we've said before. He's likable. He's come close, but the dream may be over even if he's still in the Cup Series. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Shout out TK. Appreciate the comment. Appreciate you tuning in with us every single Thursday night. This guy's been here every single night during the offseason. He can't get enough of it. Neither can our guy Marcus. Marcus is in here at 4:30, scouting the odds 4 hours before we went live. He's looking out there, liking that Chris Bell might be one of the favorites at some of the books tonight. Good on you, Marcus. And also Brian Brown. What's up, Mr. Brown? He's in here. He was in here 26 minutes before we went live tonight saying, what's up, Marcus? It could be C Bell's year, bud. I always like betting on short flat tracks. I agree. I might have something to say about Christopher Bell here at the Clash, though. So, Marcus, Brian, TK, appreciate all of you guys tuning in tonight. Appreciate everyone tuning in here on the channel with us. If you guys are new, just a quick reminder, please like this video if you enjoy this type of content. Also, subscribe to the channel. It's the easiest way to support us. And if you want more of us too, please join our NASCAR betting community over there on Discord and on the inbetweenmedia.com site. The link is in the description. We got a 2-week free trial rolling out for you guys if you missed that at the top of the show. What else do we have here in the news, Elliot?
Yeah, so the other notable news story for the week is that Jimmie Johnson is now the majority owner over at Legacy Motor Club. It was a joint venture, of course, between Maury Gallagher, who ran GMS, Petty GMS. Richard Petty still involved, but very much in the back burner. Maury Gallagher has stepped back his day-to-day involvement and has obviously stepped back some of his investment as well. Nighthead Capital Management, just some venture capital group. I don't know that they've had any racing experience before. They acquired a stake as well. And like I said, Richard Petty's involvement still there, as minor as it ever was. But we know that Jimmie Johnson is a winner. He's up there. It's Petty, it's Earnhardt, and it's Johnson, the 7-time champions. We know Legacy struggled. We know they're building a notebook from the ground up. Rod, I'll start with you being the Jimmie Johnson fan in the house. I got a feeling you're a fan of this move.
Bro, I cannot be more thrilled about this. And only from the simple standpoint of, look, this is now Jimmie Johnson's time to show that he can succeed at this without having – I don't know how much the other guys were holding him down. I don't know what was standing in the way, but I feel like Jimmie being in charge of this is going to make this team so much more successful just because he can show them how to win. He has the knowledge of how to win, right? How to build a winning team, how to be a winning team, how to be part of a winning team, right? And now when you get more of a say in something, it's never a worse thing, especially for a guy like Jimmie Johnson who can impart as much knowledge as he can on this sport. And look, quite simply, to be biased as a Jimmie Johnson fan, I just love to see him go now up against Jeff Gordon, who's essentially in charge of Hendrick Motorsports from other than Rick himself. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of going to be a fun little battle too. Who could be the better team owner, I suppose, because Jimmie's a team owner before Jeff is. So I'm anxious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Jimmie, like for going out on a limb when he did purchase Legacy in the first place. Would have been nice to know that some minority stakes were up for grabs. We might have wanted to get invested over here in IVT, but regardless, it feels like when you have more continuity at the top of an organization, you can usually prosper. And we've seen like John Hunter Nemechek, he's not running any Xfinity as of now. He's solely focused on the Cup Series. So that's kind of a bummer from like an Xfinity betting perspective, but overall, it's good for Legacy Motorsports, and hopefully they can take that next step here. And they got 2 years worth of data now. They got at least 1 year worth of data in this Toyota newer model, that is. So excited to see kind of what they can do here, and hopefully this means wheels up on Legacy. I'm not betting on them until I see it, but good to know, right, Elliot?
Yeah, and we know that the talent's there. John Hunter Nemechek and Eric Jones, both high-level Cup Series drivers, in my opinion. It's just they need the equipment to get there. And with a guy like Jimmie Johnson involved, I feel like the sky's the limit for sure.
Absolutely. We got Nick in the chat. What's up, Nick? Saying he's the best, but how will he be as a team owner? I mean, he's been in this seat before, right? Like it's not like it's brand new to him, but he's just taken on more. He's living back in the U.S., right, Rod? He's come back from London because I know for a long time he was overseas, and I don't blame, man. Like piss warm beer over there. That's awesome. Like you got footy going on every single Saturday and Sunday as well, Elliot.
Yeah, that was the other point I was going to make was he probably can't still spend most of his time in London and run a team over here in the U.S.
Yeah.
But in any case, it'll be exciting to watch. Like I said, the talent's there. Sky could be the limit.
What's up, James? James saying happy racing is back. Good to see you guys again. James, we've been in here all off season and delighted to have you back in the mix as well. Let's hit some dingers this weekend, buddy. What do you say, Ellie? We got a couple fast lap news items before we jump in and start breaking down Bowman Gray.
Yeah, a couple other things that I thought were worth mentioning. We've got some confirmation on where the Stewart-Haas charters went when they were sold, as well as obviously I mentioned the Rick Ware 15 is going to be the 60, which is important for owner points purposes. The 4 stayed the 4. Stewart-Haas 4 went to Front Row Motorsports as the 4. Trackhouse with the number 88 for Shane Van Gisbergen got the number 14, which was a playoff car last year, finished the highest out of all 4 in the owner points. The 35 for Riley Herbst got the number 10 of Noah Gragson from last year. And the 41 remained with the 41 with Haas Factory team. Austin Dillon's win at Richmond that removed his playoff eligibility last year does keep him eligible for the All-Star race when we get to North Wilkesboro later in the spring. In the Xfinity Series, they had a big test this week, Xfinity and trucks out at Rockingham.
Yeah.
That included Casey Kane, who is going to race that Xfinity race in the Richard Childress Racing number 33 coming back to NASCAR. And in the Truck Series, just a numerical move. Lane Riggs, who ran the 38 last year for Front Row, is going to run the 34. Chandler Smith is going to step into the 38 there for Front Row. So when you're watching the 38, know that it's Smith this year and Riggs will be in the 34.
Shout out Casey Kane. I feel like that's really like the highlight of all this fast lap news here. Is this is a guy who, if you've gone down to your local dirt track at all, when whether it's High Limits has been there or World of Outlaws, this is a guy who him and his race team are continuing to pound the pavement. So awesome to see him back in the Xfinity Series in a good RCR car. Rod, you got to be ecstatic about this because it feels like not that long ago he was the hot name on the street.
He sure as hell was. Hendrick Motorsports driver as well. Like, gotta love the fact that he's back in the sport. So, yeah, give it to me.
Rockingham's been a great track for him, too. Won there in the Truck Series, as well as either won or came close to winning in Cup back before it was gone. I don't remember. I know he had a close finish with Matt Kenseth. Now I think Kenseth won it. But in any case, will be exciting to see him back out there. And it's exciting to see cars ready and to be out on track this weekend in the 2025 Cookout Clash. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weekend in the Horizon forecast.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
So this week's entry list, all 36 chartered cars are mandated to attempt the Clash as well. So they're all there. The number 15 of Tim Brown, the number 50 of Burt Myers, both local guys getting Cup opportunities for this race, are also entered, as well as the number 66 of Garrett Smithley. Obviously, the race format, a little bit different for the Clash here. There will be 3 practice groups, which we'll put up on the screen here in a moment. Each group will get 3 practice sessions. 2 will be 8-minute practices. Then they'll be split by groups. They'll split those groups in half by those times for basically a 4-minute fast lap practice. Those fast laps from the final practice will determine your starting lineup for 4 25-lap heat races. In those heat races, the top 4 laps will get the pole in those heat races and on down the line. In the heats, only green flag laps count and no overtime. That goes for all races this weekend as well. And in the heats, the top 5 will all advance to the main event. If you don't make it in there, the last chance qualifier is a 75-lap race on Sunday afternoon.
That's a long one.
Only green laps count as well there, no overtime. The top 2 in that race are all that gets to the feature, so that puts in 22. And the 23rd and final spot goes to the driver highest in Cup Series points who has not already advanced. So Joey Logano is the only driver that's locked in for sure to the main event. And the past champions had to use that provisional before. Ryan Blaney needed that 23rd spot last year at the Coliseum. The feature, if you thought 75 laps was long, Seth, 200 laps for our feature event, the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium. The winner of Heat 1 will be on the pole. The winner of Heat 2 will start second and on down the line there. There'll be a timed break halfway through that race at lap 100. And once again, only the green flag laps will count. Hopefully no controversy like at the All-Star race where we thought the race was over and it wasn't yet. And hopefully no window nets taken down early. But yeah, so it's going to be an exciting weekend there. Seth, you got some breakdown of the track that we're looking at here.
Yeah, so Bowman Gray, one of the sickest tracks in America, quarter-mile asphalt, flat oval track. It surrounds the Winston-Salem University football field down there in North Carolina. Primary comp that we have, it's the LA Coliseum, also a quarter mile that we can take from the last 3 seasons. Also Martinsville, that's really the only secondary comp we've got. But we do have 6 races there in the next gen that we'll be taking from. Looking at some of the trends here, boys, active clash winners. And again, this goes back to all the clashes, whether that was Daytona Road Course, Daytona, Coliseum, you name it. Active clash winners, Denny Hamlin, 4 of them. Rowdy, Kyle Busch, 2. Brad Keselowski, 1. Eric Jones also has 1. A surprising former clash winner here. The last driver to win the clash in their first attempt, Denny Hamlin, back in 2006. That was when the clash was you could only get in if you were a pole winner. I used to love like that. That was such a cool caveat because I felt like when you won the pole, you were kind of celebrating getting into the clash. The last driver to win the clash.
The table is that's what he wants to go back to, but I do like this format too. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that would be a really cool thing to go back to. But with sponsors and everything like that, they want to see their cars on the track. The last driver to win the clash and the championship, even year Logano, boys. Joey Logano, 2022. Clash wins by team. JGR's got 12. RCR's got 8. Hendrick, 7. Penske, 5. Winners traditionally are coming from the top 10, 50% of the time. But, back in Daytona, we were getting some winners coming from the rear. Front row about 21% of the time. Top 5, 39% time. Take those numbers for what you will because it's been a different track style. If you want to look at only the clash winners from LA, Hamlin in 2024, he started on the pole. Martin Truex Jr. started second in 2023 and won it. And Joey Logano started 4th in 2022. So, Rod, I feel like this is one of those things. These heat races are really going to matter on Saturday night.
100%. And so we talked about it a little bit too on our show on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, as far as it's not easy to pass. It's not going to be simple for these guys. And we watched, actually, it was the first year of the clash, right, where Kyle Busch was having his deal, and there it's like couldn't get around anybody, right? It was just a matter of it was so hard to pass, especially in the front, to be able to get up there. And so you're really going to have to qualify well in the main event to be able to run well at the end. But that said, there's a lot of short track specialists. There's a lot of road course racers that are used to the average speed on this particular quarter mile track in LA, like 38 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour over the last few years. So you're not, it's not a drag race by any stretch of the imagination. It's you, like this is you going from red light to red light and trying to beat the person next to you because he's a jerk and you're trying to keep him in your rearview mirror. So yeah, that's essentially what this is. So yeah, the starting is going to be important, but I also think that you have a shot if you're somewhere in 6 to 10, if you're good at being able to run and break.
Elliot.
So what you're telling me, Rod, is that Shane Van Gisbergen could be a better bet than we think. The road course drivers are good there.
No, listen. No, not especially not if he doesn't qualify well. I'm not giving him a whole. If he qualifies in the front, all bets are off. I'll sprinkle. But
keep in mind too, last year with the abbreviated schedule due to weather, the heat races were canceled. They just did qualifying and then the race on the same day last year.
Yeah, and keep in mind, when you look at Bowman Gray, you look at this track compared to the Coliseum, actually a little bit skinnier, thinner, especially they added Bowman Gray traditionally doesn't have the safer barrier, so NASCAR went in, they put that. It's a very slim and slender track, so this is one where if you're going to pass, you're going to have to do it on the bottom line of 100%. I'd be really shocked if we saw a ton of passing on the outside, and at the same time, like, it's probably going to be a lot of bump and run. Like, let's just be honest. This is kind of what this has become on these quarter mile tracks. I'm still here for it. Like, I'm about it. And I think that plays into your handicapping. You want more aggressive drivers. We'll talk on that later, but just something to keep in mind there, Elliot. Yeah,
they call this place the Madhouse for a reason. In terms of the schedule, which I should have gone through and I broke down all the times, practice and qualifying is scheduled for Saturday night at 6:10 p.m. and the heat race is starting off at 8:30 p.m. Those will both be on Fox Sports 1. And before that, also I think they're calling it the Madhouse Classic Modified Race. Is in the afternoon as well on Saturday. For Sunday, last chance qualifier, scheduled to kick off at 6 p.m. And the Cookout Clash at 8. That'll both be on Big Fox, so a little easier to watch there.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we jump into the bets, real quick, just want to shout out our guy, ifantasyrace.com, and his Asterisk Mark Driver of the Week. Ryan and his entire crew over there doing an excellent job. They provide a lot of the data we use for our betting model that you guys can get access to now, or just in general, so much good information he's putting out there. The Asterisk Mark report is one that I check out every single week. I wanted to highlight Brad Keselowski because in last year's Clash, Brad finished 8th, but iFantasy Race is telling us that result kind of overrates him a little bit. In that race, Keselowski ranked 14th in green flag speed, had a 15.7 average running position, and was even one lap down with just a few laps to go as well. So kind of, got involved with some of that last closing lap wildness that boosted him back up in the results. So just something to kind of keep in mind there. Brad Keselowski and the entire RFK clan, I'm off this week. I know Ryan Preece is kind of a hot sleeper pick out there. People are throwing out their long shot darts to him. Don't blame Ryan Preece as a weapon on this style track. But, Elliot, we've seen RFK in general, they swing and miss more times than not when coming to a new track for the first time. I mean, Buescher didn't even make the race, but as you mentioned, kind of funky qualifying out there in LA going a day early.
Yeah, that's true. And RFK, especially at the Coliseum, they were not good. I remember 2022, all the hype of Keselowski's here and Buescher's here, and they're going to be solid. They both put out absolute stinkers in those heat races, didn't even come close. That's a beautiful thing about the Asterisk report, too. More often than not, it's, oh, hey, this guy was running really well, and then something stupid happened and he finished 30th. But there's also, hey, this guy finished really good, but he ran like shit all day, so an 8th place is not really worth that much.
Yeah, 100%. So just something to kind of keep in mind there. But guys, we've broken down the news. We've broken down the track and the weekend schedule. What do you say we start laying out these betting cards?
As always, it's time to crack open the books and the parking garage props. So our impressions of the books definitely changed over the course of the last couple of days. Thankfully, some more offerings were put out there, which I really appreciate, and I know you boys do too.
I don't know how you felt, Rod, but I was happy that we had odds a little bit earlier in the week than we have traditionally with the Clash, but something to keep in mind, we saw top 5s flash up at ESPN Bet yesterday. They're gone now. They were there earlier today. They pulled them. I think they got cooked on them. I think people started hitting them. So I can't find top 5s now. We're going to talk about a couple top 5 bets. If they come back, keep your head on a swivel for it. But I don't love that. Good to see some top 3 markets still out there on ESPN. I think they're also available if you just want straight top 3s over at BetRivers. Grateful for matchups, though. That's my one thing. We didn't have matchups last year at the Clash, and you guys know me. I'm a sucker for head-to-heads, especially on short track racing. So, Rod, I know you've kind of been also mulling over these books all week long. How do you think they did?
I was grateful that Caesars opened up the chest as they usually do and had all sorts of fun, exotic props. And let's face it, I mean, I know that we all think that the sexiness comes in the outrights and all that other stuff, but the fun comes from all of both to finish in the top 10, both to finish in the top 5, and all these exotic type of bets that you can make. So Caesars did a really good job hammering that one right out of the bet. But yeah, Seth, like you said, those top 3, top 5s didn't happen, which was a little frustrating. And then when they did, all of a sudden now they're gone. So I don't know what you guys are doing, but you can't take back the gift that you've given to us. Give it to us again.
Yeah, as Seth likes to say, keep your head on a swivel. Hopefully those will be back. Before we get into the bets, we do there's one that I didn't like. I forget if this was now on Caesars or DraftKings or somewhere like that. But I saw Chase Briscoe was listed as one of the favorites at 8-1. And I have no idea how that happened. I don't know if somebody just looked and thought Martin Truex Jr. was still in the 19 and put it up there and then swapped it to Briscoe. In our betting model, he's 10th. He hasn't been god-awful. Certainly not my favorite numbers. Why do you guys think that the books thought that way? Was it just crazy, or do you guys have any thoughts on Briscoe for the week?
It's okay. Listen, Seth's silence is killing us. No, listen, Briscoe to me is not. I mean, I have him as a fringe top 5, but I have him lumped in as a top 5 with Kyle Larson, who, by the way, has been 5th in every single race so far in the Clash in this format. But to me, it's a fringe top 5, but only because he's driving the 19. I don't think that he's going to compete for the win, but I think there's a long shot top 5 in Chase Briscoe if he can pilot that 19, because it's good equipment. I mean, it's JGR equipment, right? So he would finish 7th in this race, or in the Clash rather, a couple of seasons ago in the the SHR car. So stands to reason he might be able to do it again and maybe improve a couple, but I don't think he should be the favorite by no means to win this race.
Yeah, it really depends on what book you're looking at, who's the favorite. I've seen everyone from Chris Bell, Logano, Hamlin, Larson, and I did see the Briscoe earlier today as well. And I will say I did have a long shot top 5 on him last year at the Clash. He almost hit that, and he kind of came from towards the back of the pack. So I think Briscoe is live, definitely for a top 5, maybe a top 3 if you want to get frisky. But like, I don't blame the question marks from you, Elliot, at all. And first time ever driving a Toyota. I don't know if that will matter, but definitely interesting to see the book's love for him. And Chase Briscoe, talented guy, so we'll see what he can do here down at Bowman Gray.
Yeah, and on the other side too, the odds just varying so wildly everywhere. I think on ESPN Bet, I saw that your Tim Browns and Burt Myers were ahead of, I think, Hocevar and guys like that to win the race, just relying heavily on their Bowman Gray experience and not realizing that those cars making even 200 laps around that track would surprise me.
This just in from Matt Jones, FanDuel. They've got some top 5s they're throwing out there. Thank you, Matt. We this is why we do this, man. This is why we come in here every Thursday night and we have a great discussion going on in the chat. We appreciate you guys commenting, letting us know what you're seeing out there. And this is why we also have the Discord firing up as well. Links below in the description if you guys want to get invested over there with that. And we can all keep each other on a swivel a little bit. But appreciate that. What do you say though, Elliot? Should we go ahead and get right into the outrights?
Yeah, Seth, you got 2 of them. Rod and I just have 1 each. So you pick which one you want to shout out first, and then we'll circle back to you at the end.
Yeah, kind of the man of the night for me. It's Joey Logano. I love the comments that he told Bob Pockris this past week that he couldn't hear the haters because the echoes from his trophies are too loud. And this guy is fired up. This guy is ready to prove everyone that he earned that championship fair and square. I think his I don't give a fuck attitude is also perfect for Bowman Gray Stadium as well, because this is a track, as we mentioned, you're going to have to ride the bottom. You're going to have to bump and run people out of the way. Joey Logano has proven, he proved that last year at the Clash a little bit, mixing it up with Ty Gibbs there towards the end of the race, that, hey, I'm not afraid to do this. Also, he has the most point provisional that will get him in the race regardless of the heats, regardless of qualifying. Although I do expect him to go out, unload quickly, dominate a heat race as he usually does. Number 1 in our model, the only A-rated driver we currently have, 5th in the Clash Next Gen average finish when it was at LA. Last year specifically, 2nd in green flag speed, 2nd in average position, 3rd in driver rating. And then we go to Martinsville, our secondary comp track of Martinsville, 6th in the Next Gen total speed rankings, 5th in average finish there last season as well. I was pretty slow on the trigger. I was watching this all week, and he was at 10-1 last night when I went to bed. I was like, I'm not going to bet it because I just want to see what kind of unit allocation I'm going to have with the rest of my card before I bet it. And of course, I wake up, he's 9-1 everywhere. So I would still play this all the way down to 7-1, especially considering last year we hit Hamlin on the outright in LA, but that was plus 550. So yeah, go ahead and I'll go ahead and fire up here Joey Logano.
The other thing for Logano, because I considered him as an outright as well, might have to throw some coin down too. No one is better with superstitions than Logano, and if you rely on the superstitions, he's the new track king. Won the inaugural Clash at the Coliseum, won the first time at Bristol Dirt, won the first time out at Gateway, St. Louis, Worldwide Technology, whatever you want to call it. First time out of Bowman Gray. Second time at North Wilkesboro won that too. I'm counting that as close enough, honestly.
Love it. We also got Matt in the chat saying he likes Joey this weekend. I knew I liked Matt. I appreciate you, buddy. Let's go to Rod. Rod, what do you have for us? Because I feel like you're a little more off the beaten path this week.
I kind of am. And really, to go back to Joey Logano real quick, it's which narrative wins. Is it odd year Joey Logano or new track Joey Logano? Which one wins? I mean, I feel like the polar vortexes is going to suck it all in, and one's going to have to conquer. So
the vortex theory is going to keep the rain away from the track.
Amen to that. So for me, listen, this guy, he broke his 19-year streak of winning, and now he's got to come back and start a new streak. But Kyle Busch, I think he's out for revenge this year. Cody pointed it out to me, and he's absolutely right. This is a contract year for Kyle Busch. So he's going to have to prove again that he is one of the best drivers out there. And so for Kyle Busch, he's 14-1 to win this race. Allow me to give you the finishes for Kyle Busch over the last 3 Clash races that were in the LA Coliseum. 2nd, 3rd, 2nd. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that's consistently around the end for the win. I mean, we talked about how hard it was to pass, and Kyle Busch was one of those drivers a couple of years ago when it was like, man, can Kyle Busch just get around Joey Logano? Because that's all he needs to do is and Joey Logano, that bumper was about 6 cars wide on a 3-car wide track. So, for Kyle Busch, I think this is the year. He's 14-1. It's an obscene price for a guy that is going to probably have a 3rd place floor, right? Let alone the ceiling to be able to win this. He's got the talent. I dogged him a lot last year because it was a down year, but no one dogged Kyle Busch harder than Kyle Busch dogged him. And you know that this entire winter, he's probably spent figuring out how the hell he's going to get over this hump. And you give Kyle Busch that much time to think, I think it's too dangerous for the rest of the field. 14-1 is a huge misprice. So I like this opportunity for Kyle Busch.
We know that he's willing to go outside of his comfort zone too. I mean, he ran the Chili Bowl. In our model, he's ranked 7th. I don't know if you were going to pull that one or not, Seth. He's ranked 7th with, I think, a C rating. But our model also includes Martinsville stats. And I feel like the Martinsville stats from last year, he was, I think, 19th and then in the mid-20s at Martinsville. So that probably brings him down a bit compared to the dominant LA Clash finishes everywhere but a win, basically, on the podium.
Yeah, if you were just weighing LA Clash from 2024 and overall in the next-gen era stats, Kyle Busch would probably be top 3 in most people's models. Because we chose to weigh Martinsville as well, he was dropped a little bit. But yeah, that's exactly right, Elliot. Like, great stats here on the quarter-mile tracks, was just not great at Martinsville last season. But maybe we see a little bit of a bounce back from him.
Yeah, he certainly is in a good enough position to do it. And so is his former teammate, in my opinion. I like Denny Hamlin this week. Found him at 11-1 over on FanDuel. Obviously won the Clash last year in 2023, led 26 laps on his way to a 9th place finish. And in our model, he's ranked 2nd best. He had consistently good finishes as well at Martinsville and ran pretty well. I feel like everyone's kind of down on Denny Hamlin, even the sponsors. I mean, Mavis Tire left, FedEx is gone. National Debt Relief is going to be on that car in the Daytona 500, which is kind of funny. I feel like everyone's down on Denny, but I know he won't be down on himself. Similarly to Kyle Busch. He's a guy that he knows the end of last year didn't go too well. Didn't win a race after we were there at the end of April in Dover. Still seeking that championship, and I know he still thinks he can do it. Like I said, I feel like a lot of people down on Denny Hamlin. He won't be down on himself. I'm certainly not down on him with how his stats have looked at the Coliseum and on the short tracks.
Well, the 11-1 was interesting because FanDuel, of course, is always last book to post their odds this week. We had BetMGM down at 8-1 for Hamlin, 7.5-1 at DraftKings. So to get him at 11-1, I'm actually thinking about this because, like, Hamlin's the one guy I think could play spoiler to a couple of these Penske boys that I like this week. So I think the 11-1 number is a good number to take it at, Elliot. So I can't blame you a bit. And as you mentioned, Hamlin's 2nd in our projection model this week, has an IBT grade of 89%, just 1% lower than Joey Logano. So the numbers like him as well.
Right on his heels. How about it? All right, Seth. So you've got one more left and some similarities to Logano with your next stat rating.
Yeah, man, it's Ryan Blaney. Like, I just think he's another guy who is coming in jacked up, ready to go after just barely missing out on going back-to-back in the NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Rated out 4th in our model. Not the best column CM stats as a whole looking back at the next-gen era. However, Blaney, 3rd fastest late in the run last season. He got in on that provisional last year, started all the way in the back, 23rd, made his way up to 3rd. 5th in green flag speed last year, 6th in driver rating as well. And also, like, do we need to be reminded that this guy is the king of Martinsville? I mean, we bet the house on him at Martinsville. He came through for us in glorious fashion. 1st in next-gen speed rankings there. Also 3rd in average finish there last year. Just like, I like him a lot. A little bit less than Logano because I don't know if he has that aggressiveness to be able to bump and run someone out of the way for a win. But that aside, I think Ryan Blaney here, just based on his Martinsville pedigree, based on what he did last year in the Clash, 10-1 feels like a great number. He was 11-1 earlier. Again, I was slow on the trigger, but I'll take him here at 10-1 gladly for an outright. I went 1.5 units on Joey Logano and then about 1 unit here on Blaney.
Yeah, I do agree with you that I don't know that Blaney has the same madhouse rating in him that a guy like Joey Logano certainly would. If you want a more extensive look at our betting model, as well as some more thoughts on outrights, there'll be an article out on the site, most likely tomorrow, where I break down a little bit more of the model and make some other outright picks, as well as joining our IBT Racing family over on Discord.
Yep.
2-week free trial if you're hesitant, or you can go ahead and make that small monthly donation to us as well. Link is in the description there, and again, you can get our best look, a more extensive look at our model there as well.
Yeah, 100%. When we shift here into placement props, I would love to just keep it here because I went both on Blaney and Logano, and this is not available now on ESPN Bet. I think they got cooked on it and they maybe pulled it, but I'm not a big book built parlay guy. I like to kind of build my own parlays. You guys know, I do a lot of crossovers from college football money lines and some NASCAR placement props, but I felt like getting a plus 530 number at ESPN Bet for 2 of the favorites in this race. I really like it a lot. I don't have a ton more analysis for you other than these guys both finished top 5 a year ago, and I think they could do it once again. So Blaney, Logano, keep your head on a swivel for this one. Caesar still has some both top 5 odds, but I didn't see Logano and Blaney in there, which means, hey, they might have not liked it. They might have thought, hey, both these guys could do it, so we're going to fade away from that one. But just a shout out again to them. So Elliot, do you have a placement prop for us as well?
No, I was about to say I must have been too slow on the trigger. They didn't get as extensive a look at those placement props, but I make up for it in the matchups, groups, and specials as I usually do. But Rod, you got down on one of those placement props that you alluded to earlier, and I like this number as well. This was the bet I was looking for in terms of placements.
Yeah, no, I definitely like this one. And they don't have the Logano and Blaney top 5. I just was scrolling through it the whole time in season to look for it. But no, listen, Kyle Larson, top 5 plus money. Allow me to give you the finishing positions for Kyle Larson over the last 3 Clash races in LA. 5th, 5th, and 5th. If I could get Kyle Larson to finish exactly 5th in this race, I don't care what the number is, I would bet that in a heartbeat, because Kyle Larson has finished 5th in all 3 of the clashes in the quarter mile tracks that we've had. And it's Kyle Larson, the guy. I think he can win this whole thing. He's coming off of a fantastic run in the Chili Bowl where he was, basically running off the track on the sidewalls over other cars. Like if he had that off-road game that you used to play in arcades. Okay, you guys never played in arcades, but if you ever played in arcades back in the day, there was an off-road race that you used to be able to play, and you could go on the walls and go all. That was Kyle Larson. This guy, obviously, best driver in the world, and a top 5 for him is a lock. And if you're still getting this at plus money, you hammer this. I went 2 units on it because this to me is the no-brainer of no-brainers, and so. I'm all about this one. Like I said, if I could find it to finish exactly 5th, I would go that for sure.
No, I feel you there as well. And the other thing with Larson too, I know we're not really weighing North Wilkesboro as a super similar comp track, but I'm thinking of small, old-timey ovals that are getting restored here. That's kind of the connection in my mind. Larson last year in the All-Star race had to start all the way at the back because he was missed whatever happened qualifying because he was at Indy 500 qualifying. That's why he started at the back, came all the way up, and I think was 3rd in the All-Star race too.
Yeah, I remember betting Kyle Larson this exact market, this exact bet last year, and I don't even think I got it at plus money. So the fact that you're getting it at plus 120, or at least you were when it was still up there, it is music to my ears. And yeah, he comes in 3rd in our betting model this week. Very, very great stats, whether that's at the LA Clash. Also had really solid Martinsville stats last year as well. 2nd best in the next gen total speed rankings for the Ville. So can't blame you there, Rod, at all. And Elliot, what do you have for matchups and groups, man? And just, again, shout out the books. Thank you so much for having matchups for this week. It made my heart happy in a week where not a lot was making my heart happy. So I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, the other thing on Larson, too, before we go to that North Wilkesboro race, again, not a super similar comp track, but similar enough in my brain at least. That was a race where it was notoriously hard to pass. Logano led 199 to 200 laps. Larson makes his way all the way from the back of the field to get to 3rd and won that All-Star race.
I know, we had the outright.
Back 2 years ago when it was there. But into the matchups now, I would say this is the least confident I am on a bet for the week in terms of the stuff I'm throwing out. But I know we had talked about it a little bit separately, and I thought it was worth bringing up. I'm going with Josh Berry on plus money at plus 110 over on Caesars, over Bubba Wallace. His side of the bet is at minus 140. We know the Fords have some pretty good short track prowess. And this is the type of track, the type of atmosphere, the type of vibe that Josh Berry cut his teeth on. He's disadvantaged in our model because he missed the main last year in his only attempt. He's all the way down at 27th in our model. Bubba Wallace up at 8th. He's been pretty solid here. But this is much more of a vibes over stats, and you can take those as you will. You can completely ignore it. You can weigh it with me. You guys know that's the way I am at this point. You got the Wood Brothers and Penske connection. We've been talking up Logano. We've been talking up Blaney. I'm surprised no one's got a Cindric bet for how much we like the Penske cars this week. But it's an old school feel. We're at Bowman Gray. The Wood Brothers are back in a car with a throwback paint scheme that harkens back to when they were racing in the Cup Series at Bowman Gray. This is Josh Berry's wheelhouse. I feel like if he's got the car beneath him, which I think that he will, certainly better than the dying final year of Stewart Haas Racing, regardless of having Rodney Childers as the crew chief there. I'm liking Josh Berry this week in this particular matchup over the 23.
Oh.
It's a tough one. I understand. I acknowledge that.
Yeah, this is a sweater because I was actually looking at the Bubba side earlier this week. We were talking about it in Slack, the three of us, and like Bubba's ranked 8th in our model. It's more or less that he has really good Martinsville stats. Yeah. He also he had a good run in the Clash actually last year. He was top 7 and then he spun out. If you look at the Asterisk Mark report over there on iFantasy Race, didn't have the best finish, but was running really good in that race. Berry, as you mentioned, Elliot, didn't make that race, so kind of his metrics are skewed. Mm-hmm. The issue with Berry is when I looked at his Martinsville runs this past year as well, good qualifying, unloaded fast, and then kind of just fell back. And so I'm curious how he'll be able to manage the tires here. He's a short track guy. He spent a lot of time in the cars here. So I expect him to be fine and be very comfortable right at home here at Bowman Gray, but too close for me to get invested, or whether that's laying the juice with Bubba or taking the plus money with Berry. So a no bet for me, but I think it's a great matchup that was offered. Rod, any analysis from you on Berry or Bubba?
I just think that for Bubba, he has not necessarily performed well, obviously, in these clashes. So if you're going to take anybody over Bubba, then I guess this is the one to take. I mean, if there's a matchup to take over it, I'm not completely sold on either one of these drivers because I feel like either one of them could miss the race, to be honest with you. We've seen some really good people not qualify for the race. Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me if this 21 doesn't even make the race or Bubba, for that matter, gets left out of this one. So, yeah, it's a tough one, but Elliot, for the sake of solidarity, I will back you on this play because Josh Berry does have the right qualifications to be able to go out and wheel a short track.
Well, it's much appreciated, Rod. And the other thing with Berry, too, Spring Martinsville, I'll give you, wasn't the best run for him. That was when there was certainly more hope. I don't know that it had been announced that SHR was closing. Fall Martinsville, you got playoff vibes. Half or 3/4 of that team was on their way to new jobs. Yeah. It's one of those things where, I mean, there's no excuse for running like garbage. I understand that. But again, weighing those Martinsville stats super heavily. In this case for Berry, not necessarily what I would look at. But hey, I said it was a vibes over stats bet, and I'm willing to back it.
Yeah, absolutely. Rod, what do you have here for the matchup department?
So I'm going to take my buddy. Yeah, your Moose. Hold up that Moose helmet because that's exactly where we're at. Ross Chastain. I'm going to take Ross Chastain, the Mellow Man, over Brad Keselowski. Oh, we can't call him Brad Keselowski anymore because he's not Hawaiian anymore. Brad Keselowski returned. This is minus 115 over at ESPN Bet. If you look at our model, actually, Chastain is better than Keselowski by a couple of positions. Ross Chastain 9th in the model, Brad Keselowski 12th in the model. Brad gets an F on this particular track. So Ross Chastain not much better at a D, but I will say that if you just take it as a whole, I feel like Ross Chastain's one of those guys who, he made a lot of noise a couple of seasons ago only to kind of go back into the ether, and he's got to reemerge, right? This is a Trackhouse team that's looking for, now they've got SVG in the house, and you don't want to be Ross Chastain with SVG in the house sucking up all the air because you're supposed to be the one that's carrying the banner for Trackhouse, right? So this is the year that Ross makes the statement, and I think in this particular race, it's not like there's a whole lot on the line other than pride, but he has at least got one top 10 finish in this race altogether, does Ross Chastain. So I think he could do it again. It's not going to be easy. Ross Chastain did have an 8th place finish in 2023. So, he didn't make it in 2022 and didn't finish well. He didn't finish better than Brad Keselowski in 2024, but as we said, that was kind of a rough go anyways. And we talked about Brad Keselowski kind of benefiting from a wonky second half of the race. So Chastain could have very easily beat him in that one as well. But we talked about RFK. I'm not necessarily all that high on their potential in this particular race. And I still think that Ross Chastain can get the better of at least Brad Keselowski. And this can cash, even if it's a 15th and a 16th place finish. Doesn't have to be Ross anywhere other than better than Brad Keselowski at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm cool with fading RFK 100%. I already kind of touched on that earlier. I have a bet kind of fading them a little bit later in the specials market. So completely okay with this. I wish Ross ranked a little bit higher in our model, but you know, we've seen what he can do at Martinsville. Even last year in a down year was still top 12 in most of the statistics coming out of the Ville and the paperclip. So I don't hate this. I'm on board with fading RFK as a whole. So yeah, don't hate this one at all.
Yeah, fading RFK, I don't have much more comment other than that I'm on board with that.
All right. Well, I'll round us out here. I have a matchup, and then Elliot has a group. This is my gainer of the week. If you're gonna listen to me, one bet this week, it's this one. You can tune me out. You can say this guy fucking sucks. Whatever. I'm trusting the model. I am trusting the model here. Joey Logano, as we mentioned, first in the model. Christopher Bell, 17th in our model. Did not qualify for this race last year, so that definitely fucked him, kind of skewed his stats a little bit. But the third worst average finish at Martinsville last year, 28.5. Some of those were freak accidents. Some of those were also him just not running well. Logano is 2-1 against Bell in the LA Coliseum, our closest comp. He's also 5-1 against Bell at Martinsville in the next gen era. Logano is now minus 130 at ESPN. Also minus 120 at Caesars after this opened as a pick'em at minus 115. So the money from the sharps is coming down on Logano. So I'm also going to be heavy on the Logano here. This is my gainer of the week. 3.5 units for me, boys.
The only thing I don't necessarily love about that is just the steep unit allocation, because I feel like this is much more of a toss-up than you give it credit for. The model definitely holds Bell down for missing it in a freaky year last year, where they didn't find out until I think it was an hour before the qualifying started. Hey, guess what? We're doing the whole show today.
Yeah.
Toyotas are going to be good here, but I do like Logano too. It's more of a toss-up for me than to put that many units on it for sure.
Yeah. We got TK in the chat saying hopefully Marcus isn't here to hear this. And yeah, Marcus is here. Don't worry, baby. He's going Bell over Logano. I like the call. I like going against me, Marcus. But I think your guy's a little screwed this week. Elliot, what do you have for the group market? Because you know me, I'm not a big group guy, but you usually find something intriguing over there. What is it?
I do like the groups, and I like Group C over at Bet365 this week. Kyle Busch is the favorite in that group, and I think it's for good reason. I think he wins this group. He's got to beat the 9 of Chase Elliott, who's at plus 260. The 45 of Tyler Reddick is at plus 275. 48 of Alex Bowman is at plus 300. Just looking at our model straight up, the model does favor Kyle Busch, 7th with a 72% of C, over the 9 and the 45, who are both 14th and 15th with some pretty crummy F grades. So this puts it between the 8 and the 48, I feel like. Bowman's been pretty quick. At the Clash at the Coliseum has finishes of 6th and 4th. That's not quite as good as 2nd and 3rd. He hasn't had quite the race-winning speed at the Coliseum nor on the short tracks. I mentioned North Wilkesboro as one of my comps, and Bowman put out the first Hendrick driver to miss an all-star race since 2006, not looking competitive really at all in that all-star open last year. I feel like the 48 just has more of a tendency to just lay a fucking clunker, as we've all seen. And I know Kyle Busch with RCR has laid his fair share of clunkers. But I mean, Rod, you're picking him for the outright. I only need him to beat 3 drivers, and I think he pretty easily beats the 2 Hendrick cars as well as the 45, the way the Clash data has looked. And we know, again, Kyle Busch is motivated. He's put himself out of his comfort zone. He's not going to go another year without winning. And I think the Clash is going to be a good start to that. Whether he takes the checkered flag or not, I certainly think Group C could be a good way to make money on the 8 this weekend.
100%. I mean, again, to win this group, I think you have to be the winner of the race. And that I don't see Elliott winning. I definitely don't see Bowman winning. And yeah, it's just tough to make a case for anybody other than Kyle Busch to be first, second, or third. So yeah, I love this, especially at plus 250. What a great number on this.
This is one of those strange groups that makes me, as a guy who loves number and puts our model together each week, that like makes me want to just like blow my head off, because like I just look at Chase Elliott, and his Martinsville stats were awesome last year. He was so good at the Ville, but he's terrible at the quarter mile tracks in LA. And then you look at Kyle Busch, the guy is an absolute rocket at LA, but his Martinsville stats were terrible. So my head's in a blender in this one, but I don't blame it at plus 250. Are all of them plus 250 in that market, Elliot?
No, so the 8 is at plus 250, the 9 is at plus 260, the 45 at plus 275, and the 48 is at plus 300. And I think about this with Martinsville. Is Bowman Gray shaped like a paperclip, or is it a track inside a football stadium? More similar to the Coliseum. That's the way I want it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead. Let's round out the show, guys. Let's switch up to the specials market where, Rod, you've become infamous in the NASCAR betting space for many things, my friend. Being handsome, always having a cold drink in your hand here on the back road on Thursday nights with us.
Not to mention the banger intro, too.
Yeah, the banger intros. So much. But more than anything, I think you've become famous for your number bets. What do you got for us this week?
I got another number bet. Hey, if they keep giving it to us, I'm going to keep hammering them. So I've got the winning numbers. I got a couple of them, actually, because I do like the numbers on either one of these. The winning band from 0 to 9, as you can see, plus 230. Of course, Caesars is giving us all of these fantastic number bets, but winning car number 0 to 9 plus 230. I mean, I already said Kyle Busch is probably going to be the one to walk away with the win, right? That is the 8. If Chase Elliott happens to win this race, you're covered on that one too. If Justin Haley, who we haven't really even talked about in this one, this brand new Spire. Look, we were praising Haley in 2022 when he actually came out of nowhere and made some noise in that first clash, right? So he's can get around this track ever so often. And then the 6 of Brad Keselowski, if you don't feel like actually betting the outright and you're just surprised and happy that he wins, there's that too. Kyle Larson is in this group. You get the 4 now of Noah Gragson in there as well. You get the 3. Well, you get the 2.
Austin Dillon. He surprised us at some of these tracks. I forget which one, Seth, but there's some of these short tracks where he just randomly is better than half the field.
Yeah, we won't talk about how that happened, but actually has surprisingly good LA Clash numbers. When you look at like his overall LA Clash history here and the average finish that he has, like he's damn one of the best. Like he's number 2 in average finish in LA, despite missing the race last year.
See, there you go. It's a shame that Corey Lajoie is not racing in the 01 because you could bet him in both of these also.
I would exclude. I would actually put an asterisk by it and say, please exclude this driver from this prop.
It's a shame the 00 doesn't run anymore either. Shout out David Rude.
And then of course you get Ross Chastain. So I love all of that right there. Too bad that the 0 is not in effect, like you said, either. So yeah, I like that. And then if you're going to double down on it, because then all of a sudden under 12.5 is still plus money as well. And now you're adding into the mix the 10 car, the 11 car of Denny Hamlin that could accidentally win this race, and then Ryan Blaney for sure. So you get 3 extra cars in there for just a slight discount. So I love the winning band 0 to 9 and under 12.5 at plus 130.
Yeah, I saw that plus 12 or under 12.5 at plus 130. And I found that intriguing because, like, I think if you want to bet this, like, then you hedge yourself a little bit, take the Logano outright, take probably the William Byron outright. Like, those are really the only guys over this 12.5 number that I really think could win this race. So I like that call quite a bit.
I definitely love adding in the under 12.5 to this because adding guys like Hamlin and Blaney that definitely can win this race, and Ty Dillon, who could really surprise us too. A nice little added bonus to add into spinning this roulette.
Although speaking of fun, yeah, but
hey, all right, is that a Jerry Nadeau or a Joe Nemechek?
This one is the Jerry Nadeau. Yeah,
all right,
nice.
Deep cut.
We got Perry in the chat saying Kyle Busch minus 120 versus Brad DK. Wow,
let's go.
I think Perry just gave us the bet of the fucking week.
Perry the platypus. Love it, buddy. Thank you for that one, dude. That's a great one, Perry. Appreciate you, brother.
If you don't know, that was a reference to a kid's cartoon called Phineas and Ferb.
Actually,
you guys may not.
I will say this, Perry. Now that I think about this, I think this might be a Daytona 500 bet because I remember I was looking at this and I saw this myself.
It is.
Yeah, and it's like February. It has the date up there. That's the only way you can. But it's weird because they have it in the Clash like UI. So it's really messed up. So this is actually a 500 bet. Just be aware of that, Perry. Hopefully you did not bet it yet. But
I don't even do it for the 500. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you guys. I'm already down on Kyle Busch 14-1 for the 500. Yeah. So I'm actually okay with that for the 500. But just be aware, DK kind of had a little mix up over there. So. Something to know. Man, that would have been a gainer though.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. DK is not a book that I normally look at first.
Wow. Have some respect. Have some respect for the old DraftKings.
Yeah. Well, there's so many options out there. I'm all right. But all right, so we got some manufacturer props then to end it out. I'll start off with my manufacturer outrights that everyone knows that I love. Toyota to win is at plus 275 over on Bet365. You compare that to Chevrolet at plus 140, Ford at plus 150. They do have more horses in the race, both Chevrolet and Ford. But with Toyota, if the Gibbs cars are the favorites in every book, why has Toyota got the longest odds? We had this conversation at the start of this about Briscoe getting favorite-like numbers. We know Denny Hamlin is second in the model. We know that Ty Gibbs is sneaky good and ran up front a lot of the Clash last year, ran up front at Bristol before the tire management really became a thing. The 23 and the 45, obviously, they both have some upside. I just don't understand. It's not like this on other books. I know Toyota is certainly a lot closer.
Yeah.
If this is still up on Bet365, it really feels like a misprice. Toyota's got the fewest number, as usual, but they may have the best odds to win with some of those top guys.
I think this is another thing you can kind of pull the full tank fill method and just hedge yourself with non-Toyota guys then if you want to take this, right? Bet Logano, bet Kyle Busch, do that type of thing. So I don't hate the plus 275. It definitely feels a bit long considering that JGR in specific has won this back-to-back.
Yeah, even better. I didn't even have that written down. So thanks for helping out my bet there, Seth. You got one more to close it out here, manufacturer related also.
Yeah, I do. And I sent you boys this one early in the week. It was like one of the first props they had out there. And I couldn't get enough of it. And again, I didn't have the fastest fingers this week. I was a little hesitant. It was minus 115. I got it at minus 125, but I'm actually going under 2.5 Fords or 3.5 Fords, excuse me. I know we have 2.5 there on. It's definitely 3.5 is the number. So my apologies for writing that in wrong there. I do not think over 3 Fords finish in the top 10 here because when you look at it, yes, you got Blaney, you got Logano. I'm super high on those guys. I bet those guys outright, but I really don't like any other Fords. Like Ryan Preece is the next highest in our model at 11. Kez is at 12. But as we mentioned, RFK usually swing and misses on these first-time tracks. So like, I don't like them. You guys know I got a Buescher 40-1 outright on the season to win the championship that I really like. But Buescher didn't even make the race last year. And when you look at his LA next gen finishes, he is terrible. Like he is so far down the list here. He is second to last. Like he is second to last in that metric, which is crazy to me. In LA, going back to previous years, we had 3 Fords in the top 10 in 2022. Logano, Cole Custer, who you guys know me, I love some Custer as well. I don't think he's going to be a factor here. And Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick's gone. In 2023, we had just 1 Ford in the top 10 in LA. It was Ryan Preece. We had 4 last year, Blaney, Logano, Keselowski, who, again, Ryan kind of told us in the iFantasyRace.com asterisk mark report. That was a little bit of an inflated number. And Briscoe. Briscoe was the other one. Briscoe's no longer a Ford. So I feel good about this. Like, even if Ryan Preece or Kez, one of those guys pops up, I don't know who else can beat me on this. Like, I know I saw some people getting rowdy on Twitter. Our guy Skybox has like a gainer on Noah Gragson to win this race. I think like 50-1. I'm good on that, Mark. I love you, buddy. But yeah, so I'm just fading Ford as a whole outside of our 2 Penske boys here. That's the bet here.
Yeah, and again, under 3.5 Fords, minus 125 there. Wanted to make sure that was correctly displayed there.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
This is one where I'm glad that so sometimes, obviously we don't get a chance to talk all the time. And when the odds dropped, this was the first thing that landed on my mind. And I had this down too. And then when you said you had it, I was like, oh, thank God. That means all the great minds are thinking alike. Because even Cody was pissed off that I got to the dock first and hit this one because he was like, damn it, if you didn't have it in the dock already, I was going to put it in. So everybody, I think, is heavy on this Fords in the under 3.5 Fords in the top 10 because, like you said, past Logano, and even then, maybe not even Logano in my opinion, but it's Blaney, and then what? Then you're just sort of out there on an island after that. So I love it.
No faith in a little Todd Gilliland top 10 out there? Anybody?
No. Todd wasn't the worst. Like Todd actually ranked like 21st in our model, but no, I'm okay on that. Like it's more his Martinsville stats that make him anything. So I just don't see it, man. Unless like Ricky Spenhouse just goes out and just like, I don't know, takes out everyone in his path. I don't see it out there from the Hayek, man.
Man, they do call it the Madhouse for a reason. And it's going to be so exciting to watch this weekend, the events out at Bowman Gray Stadium for the Cookout Clash And don't forget, too, if you liked what you saw, like and subscribe. And go ahead and join the IBT Racing family, too. It's our special Discord server. You get exclusive weekly betting model access. That's how you'll enter our memorabilia giveaways in the future, including an autographed Ross Chastain helmet that will be given away prior to Daytona, around the Daytona 500. As you see, Seth's got it there. Nice little Moose Melon Man autograph piece. We all love that. And it also will give you the opportunity to chat with us. All three of us are already there, as well as Ryan from My Fantasy Race, who occasionally is the brains behind the brawn here with our data and things like that. 2-week free trial by joining Discord at the link below, or a very a nominal donation. What is it, $3.99 a month or $36 for the season? Only a handful of units. Don't bet some of these bets you didn't like us throwing out there. Save your money for Daytona, or a lot of people not betting the super speedways when we get there in a couple of weeks. Throw your money toward making money on the rest of the races and enjoying our content here with the IBT Racing family.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna be really sad to see this Ross Chastain helmet to go. That's one of my favorite. That's my favorite drivers. So I did the unselfish thing. I purchased it for the show, for the IBT family racing members, and not myself. So I'm going to be sad to see it go, but I hope someone wins it. We're going to give that away, I think, the week after the 500 to everyone who's in the Discord. Again, come hang out with us. We're going to be chatting and clash all weekend long. I'm sure Ryan's going to be throwing out some nuggets in there. And Rod, Ellie, and I will have our ear to the ground. Also, make sure you're checking out all Rod's content. Rod's over there on the NASCAR gambling show. I always screw it. There's too many NASCAR betting shows.
NASCAR gambling podcast, right?
Yeah,
Rod?
NASCAR gambling pod. I'm sorry, Rod.
Seth, you got a terrible memory over there. Let Rod plug his own stuff. You're going to get the name of his pod wrong. Come on.
No, listen. For years, Seth, you said NASCAR betting preview show, so I can't hate you for that because it flows off the lips. Definitely follow me over on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's the NASCAR gambling podcast, whether it's listen, I got my own site flowing right now. It's So You Like Sports. I got hammered on the esports Call of Duty League for the first.
I saw that.
Oh my God, that was a bad. I need to bounce back from that one. But there's all kinds of stuff. There's snooker, there's rugby, there's Call of Duty, there's League of Legends. If it's on the books, chances are I'm covering it. So check it out over there if you want to get truly degen. But yeah, best way to do it, just follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez.
Rod even was super degen today on his socials. He had some supercross bets out there. That's what I love to see. So yeah.
That seems like a great addition to the site for sure. I even considered writing some Australian baseball league over the winter, but they don't really bet on that, so I didn't think it was the right fit.
We got TK in the chat saying Rod is the ad read guy over there, so it makes sense to let him run. Yeah, let Rod cook. Let Rod cook. That's the new saying on this show after tonight, after butchering that. Absolutely. Easiest way to support all of us here at the IBT channel. Also, shout to our girl Nicolette in the back end. She's been helping us out from a production standpoint, much better than us stooges doing it. So we appreciate you, Nicolette. Easiest way to support us. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're here live just about every Thursday night, 52 weeks out of the year, 8:30 Eastern time. It's going to be a glorious season, boys. And Elliot, what a glorious way to start out here at Bowman Gray, one of the epicenters of racing history in this beautiful damn country we live in.
No doubt about it. Winter, at least in terms of racing sense, is over, and NASCAR is back. Thanks for rolling down the back road with us, and enjoy all the events and the bets at the Madhouse this weekend. We'll see you next week on the Backroad.